Hello students, I'm Dr. Himanshu Kanpal, Assistant Professor English, Government MS College for Women, Bikaner. Today we will discuss the poem Sohrab and Rustam in detail, which is written by one of the famous Victorian poets, Matthew Arnold. First of all, we are going to study the story connected with it. The poem is an extract from Matthew Arnold's long poem Sohrab and Rustam. The poem was written about the year 1853. This poem is Arnold's attempt at handling Oriental themes. It is based on an episode from Shahnama of Firdausi. Rustam was one of the bravest Persian heroes. He was responsible for driving the Mongol herds back in their attack on his native land. His son Sohrab came to fight on behalf of the Tartar king Afarsarib in the single combat which was desired by Sohrab. Rustam slew him. Only after the fatal blow was struck did Rustam learn that he was the father of the slain hero. In order to understand the poem, it is essential to know the story of Sohrab and Rustam. Rustam was the son of Zal, had in his wanderings married Tamine, the daughter of the king of Samangan, a city in Azerbaijan. Their union was responsible for the birth of a son, but before he was born, Rustam had left his wife. At the time of departure, he left instructions with his wife to the effect that she should impress the child's arm with a seal in case it be a son. Tamineh obeyed, but she did not send word to Rustam about the birth of a son. She pretended instead that the child born was a daughter. In doing so, she was avoiding the chance of Rustam's taking away her son for the purposes of training him as a soldier. When Sohrab grew up, he sided with the Afarsib, the Tartar king. In the last fight between the Tartars and the Persians, Sohrab fell in a single combat with Rustam. The latter only knew that his opponent was his son when he was shown the griffin mark impressed on the youth's arm. So, the extract prescribed for your study describes Rustam sitting by Sohrab's side, Sohrab killed by Rustam, his own father. The armies depart and all becomes calm. The oxus flows steadily on undisturbed by the conflicts of the host and takes the longed for rest in the Aral Sea. The poem is written in the iambic pentameter. The blank verses majestic and often reminiscent of Tennyson's style in Modern Arthur. Now we are going to move to the poem. So, Rustam fought with Sohrab unaware of the fact that his opponent was his own son. He was not aware that the person with whom he was fighting was his own son. He spoke and Sohrab smiled on him and took the spear and drew it from his side and eased his wounds imperious anguish. So he spoke. Rustam had never seen his son. Sohrab was mortally wounded by his own father. When Rustam soon came to know that he had murdered his own son, Rustam sat by Sohrab's side while he breathed his last. So, Rustam mortally wounded Sohrab in a combat. Soon he came to know that Sohrab was his own son. So he spoke and Sohrab smiled on him and took the spear and drew it from his side and eased his means Sohrab's wounds imperious anguish. It means unbearable pain that he was passing through, that Sohrab was passing through. Rustam was sitting by the side of Sohrab and he took the spear so that to ease his unbearable pain that required relief. But the blood came welling from the open gash. But as it is a mortal wound that Rustam has given Sohrab, but the blood came welling from the open gash. When he took the spear out from the body of the Sohrab, the blood came welling from the open gash. Welling means flowing from the open wound, and life flowed with the stream. And life flowed with the stream means life flowed with the blood, because now it is a mortal wound and Sohrab is going to die. All down his cold white side the crimson torrent ran, dim now and soiled like the soiled tissue of white violets left freshly gathered on their native bank. Came welling, life flowed with this all down his cold white side. Now the Sohrab lay cold there because he is attacked by his own father. All down his cold white side the crimson torrent ran. Crimson torrent means the rush of red blood. Dim now and soiled. Soiled means it is now mixed with sand. The blood flowing out from the body of Sohrab, it rushed, the crimson torrent ran. It means it rushed, the red blood rushed out, and now it is mixed with sand. The poet here makes use of a simile like the soiled tissue of white violets. The red blood flowing out from the side of from Sohrab's body is mixed with blood in the same way as the soiled tissue of white violets. Soiled tissue of white violets, that is white flowers left freshly gathered on their native bank by children whom their nurses call with haste indoors from the sun's eye. Like the blood, that is the rush of red blood that is mixed with sand in the same way as the white flowers which are freshly collected by the children on their native bank, and they are left in that condition. The soiled tissue of white violet left, they are left on the native bank, they are left on the river side by the children who have collected them. When they why they left it there? Because their nurses call with haste to return. The nurses call them to return indoors. His head drooped low, his limbs grew slack. His head dropped low, it means his head is sank, his limbs grew slack. They are not firm now, it is limbs grew slack, without energy, without motionless, white he lay. As blood is flowing out from the body of Sohrab, he lay there. His head is dropped low. Now he is without any kind of energy and motionless. White he lay, white with eyes closed only when heavy gasps. White with eyes closed, it means like he is, as he is mortally wounded by his own father, he is taking heavy gasp, heavy breath, deep heavy gasps quivering through all his frame, convulsed him back to life. He opened them, what he is, and fixed them feebly on his father's face. He is taking heavy breath as he is not able to breathe properly because of the wound in his body, but still he is still there is life in him, and he is coming back to life again and again. Though he is motionless, though there is no energy left in him, still he opened his eye and fixed them feebly, weakly on his father's face. Till now all strength was ebbed. Ebbed means drained away. The kind of wound that he got on his body drained all his strength away from his limbs unwillingly. Unwillingly. The spirit fled away. The soul left the body unwillingly. It means Sohrab is so young, so full of energy, so full of life. The spirit, the soul from the body unwillingly fled away. Sohrab, soon Sohrab died, regretting the warm mansion which he left. Warm mansion means the body. The soul is regretting the warm mansion which he left, and youth and bloom and this delightful world. It means the soul of the Sohrab gave up the ghost and it left the warm mansion, it left the body and youth and bloom, and it also left what is associated with Sohrab. He was youthful, he was energetic, he was in his full bloom, and this delightful word before before it means like still he has so many years to live. He is full of life in his young age, but the soul, because of that mortal wound which is given by his father, he has to he is unable to cope with life, and he soon Sohrab died. He so on the bloody sand Sohrab lay dead, and great Rustam drew his horseman's cloak down over his face and sat by his dad's son. He drew his riding cloak and covered Sohrab's face with it. Rustam lay by the side of the dead body of his son. Rustam, in this condition, looked like down over his face and sat by his dead son as those black granite pillars once high reared by Jamshid in Persepolis to bear his house, now mid their broken flight of steps lie prone enormous down the mountainside. So in the sand Sohrab lay Rustam by his son. The Rustam unknowingly fatally wounded his own son in combat. He was deeply shocked when he came to know that he had killed his son. So Sohrab was fatally wounded unknowingly by his father. Rustam lay by his dead son. Rustam lying by the dead body of Sohrab. It looked like one of those high pillars which were erected by Jamshid to support his palace, but which are now mid their broken flight of steps lie prone, but which are now wholly in ruin. Enormous, they were huge down the mountainside. So in the sand lay Rustam by his son. Jamshid was the founder of Persepolis, the ancient capital of Persia. There is a grand simile after the style of Homer and Milton. In this simile, the similarity lies in the past grandeur of Rustam and of the black pillars. And night came down over the Solomon waste and the two gazing host and that sole pair, and darkened all, and a cold fog with night crept from the oxes. It grew dark, night came, the two armies, the sole pair of Sohrab and Rustam, the whole field, everything was darkened by night's darkness. A cold fog had arisen from the Oxus river. Soon there was noise, crept from, soon a hum rose. Soon there was noise as of a great assembly loosed. People in the two camps seemed to have dispersed. They went to their respective camps as a great assembly loosed, and fires began to twinkle through the fog. For now both armies moved to camp and took their meal. The Persians took it on the open sands southward, the Tartars by the river march, and Rustam and his son were left alone. They were people in the two camps seemed to have dispersed. They went to their respective camps. They lighted the fire. They took their meals. They cooked their meals and took their meals. The Persians took their meal in the open field in the south. The Tatars by the river bank. Rustam and his son were left alone. And the majestic river floated on out of the mist and hum of that lowland. Here, in these lines, the poet describes the river Oxus. The grand river flowed through the desert place. The river flowed majestically through the desert place, its water shining in moonlight out of the mist and hum of the lowland into the frosty starlight, and there moved rejoicing through the hushed Corinthians waste under the solitary moon. It flowed towards north. In the hilly region, it flowed fast, full to the brim. Its speed became less as it entered the desert place. Here it had many divisions, so its currents were split. It appeared as if it has forgotten its earlier course. So these lines describe the river Oxus. The river Oxus flowed on undisturbed by the conflicts out of the mist and hum of that lowland into the frosty starlight. The river Oxus flowed on undisturbed by the conflicts of host. The sandy plains began to enclose the onward flowing river. The river was divided into many streams. He flowed right from the polar star past Ogun. The source of the river Oxus seems to have forgotten the quick flow of its earlier course. The source of the Oxus is in the plateau of Pamir. The Oxus flow in a circular path, brimming and bright and large. Then sands began to ham his watery marge and dam his streams and split his currents, that for many a league the shorn and parcelled Oxus flows along through beds of sands and matted rushy isles. The Oxus flowed in a circular path. At last, the much desired beatings of the sea waves were heard, forgetting the bright speed he had in his high mountain cradle in Pamir, a foiled circuitous wanderer, till at last the longed for dash of waves is heard, and white his luminous homes of water opens, bright and tranquil, from whose flow the new bathed stars emerge and shine upon the Aral sea. The new bathed stars, the stars are called new bathed because they look very bright as they rise from the horizon. It seems as if their dullness is all washed by the sea. The river took the long for the rest in the bright Aral sea, where many rivers fall. The shining stars appear to emerge from the tranquil sea. So, what in this paragraph, poet wants to express that the grand river Oxus flowed through the desert plate, its water shining in moonlight. It flowed towards north. In the hilly region, it flowed fast to the brim. Its speed became less as it entered the desert place, where it had many divisions, so its currents were split. It appeared as if it had forgotten its earlier quick flow. The river Oxus flowed on undisturbed by the conflicts of the two armies. The river appeared to have forgotten the quick flow of its earlier course. The source of the river is in the plateau of Pamir. The river flowed in a circuitous path. At last, the beatings of the sea waves become audible. The river took the much desired rest in the bright Aral sea, into which many rivers fall. The shining stars appear brighter as if dullness is all washed by the sea. This is all about the poem Sohrab and Rustam, that is written by famous poet Matthew Arnold. So we can say Arnold's poetry here is full of picturesque similes. They vividly represent the things sought to be depicted. The poem is written in the iambic pentameter. The blank verses, majestic, and we can say Arnold was a great lover of nature. He loved the peace he saw in nature, and the description of river Oxus flowing towards the Aral Sea is a beautiful example of his nature's painting. This is all about the poem Sohrab and Rustam.